welcome back to my channel. Today, we're gonna talk about CNA, scribe, music therapy. I know, so the job market is gonna be a little funky, and I just wanted to kind of share some jobs, like maybe if you're in college, or like maybe you're not in college, maybe they canceled like summer courses, or maybe you have some extra time on your hands and you want to make some money. Maybe you're working from home, anything in that regard. I just wanted to name a couple of jobs that, like, good, bad, and ugly. um so yeah, so let's dive in here. So in a couple of my other videos, I have talked about medical billing and coding, and I think medical billing and coding is probably the best job to do right now. Because if you can't be a music therapist, or if your music therapy hours are limited, maybe you're not getting paid as much as you were before. Medical billing and coding is the best, and it's really easy because, so every procedure has I'll just break it down for you. Every procedure has a code, right? And in music therapy, we'll just take, most of our services fall into the psychology category, and then you just kind of, it's sort of based off of time, it's based off of like intensity. So obviously, if you were in a hospice setting and somebody came in with a stroke, like, obviously that would be more critical, than if you were doing a regular music therapy session. But there's like codes. So we'll give it like an example. Let's say you do an hour music therapy session, right? And then they write it down as like an hour talk therapy, okay, like something like that. An hour of therapy, an hour of whatever. And then next to it, it will say like 0001, so like 3 zeros and 1, right? So then that's coding, right? So figuring out like what procedure matches up with what code. And then billing is when you take that code and then you put it into the system, right? And then it will add up like, oh, 0001, that's 230, okay? And then like you put it into the system, and then sometimes you have to go through the insurance process where it's just like, oh, like, this insurance company will pay 50% of that 230, or this insurance company only will pay 100 for this service, and the patient has to pay $50 out of pocket. That's like the billing. So so that's kind of how it works. And like I said, it's really easy, but the negative to billing and coding, and that's why we're not going to talk about it right now too much. The negative to billing and coding is if you're a music therapist who's like locked down, if you're in one of those facilities where they're like, you're in lockdown, like, you're not going to be asked to do billing and coding right now. Billing and coding is a great job to do if you lost your job, or if you're not currently working and you need to look for jobs. Billing and coding is in need. It's really simple. They probably will hire you like fresh off, because if you're a music therapist and you did documentation, you kind of have a sense of like what services are what, depending on what population you work in. And then all you gotta know is how to transfer, how to look in the guide, because there's a guide. You don't have to memorize these things. So like, you just look in the guide and figure out what code is what, and then go to the billing department, and then usually they walk you through like, oh, we only accept 5 insurance companies. So then you kind of know the process based on the insurance company. So it's like really easy. At smaller facilities, they'll make you do like a billing and coding will be in one department, and you'll be responsible for both. In a larger facility, they do coding and then billing, and they're 2 different people. But the problem, so like right now you'll probably get accepted as a billing encoder if you're looking for a job, but the one problem is that you do have to do training, and for certain hospitals you do have to take an exam and get certified. So that's why I'm not necessarily going to talk about it too much, because like if you're at that particular hospital that needs to get certified, so like obviously all the tests are delayed and whatever, so you got that, and then you do have to complete, I think it's like 500 to 700 hours, and that that's not going to help right now. It takes about 6 months to get trained like professionally trained as a biller and coder, even though it's not really that difficult, and then you do have to take an exam. So it's a great job. It's a good job. You probably will get hired right off the bat, but it does come with some issues. Like you might have to get certified in a 3-month window, like you get hired, get certified, and it might not be doable to do 6 months worth of training in a 3-month window when all the tests are being canceled. So that's why I just wanted to give a little background on billing and coding and why I think it's a great alternative, a great like supplementary income if you're a music therapist and you're not getting enough as it is. But just be kind of careful, be kind of cautious, keep it in the back of your mind as a job to do. But just know that depending on where you work, it might become more of a hassle than what it's worth. It really depends. I mean, some people will hire you for billing, if you have experience as a music therapist and you've done notes, and they don't really need extra certification. But if you're working at like a big name hospital, you might have some issues. Anyway, so we're going to talk about CNA. CNA, you also need certification, but if you're working in a job like that's participating in a lockdown, you're not gonna necessarily need to get certified right off the bat. And if you do need to get certified, like they're gonna be able to do it at your job. CNA, I think they said it was like 3 to 6 months to get trained as a CNA. Honestly, it takes like 2 seconds. like yes, you have an exam and whatever, but CNA, I hate CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant. I hate that job. I think it's like, honestly, I think it's like the worst. It's not going to be the worst job that we talk about, but it's going to be super darn close. So when you're a certified nursing assistant, this is what happens. Like, yes, you need to take the course, and yes, you need to take the exam, and sometimes you can do it at work, and sometimes you have to like go through a community college, or I think American Red Cross does it as well. But what happens when you're a CNA, what happens is, like, you go into the client's room. Usually you work, well, at my facility, they worked 8-hour shifts, but that's never really the case. Usually you work like 10 to 12, sometimes 16, depending on the facility. And then you're like sometimes you're given like 5 clients to watch over, and sometimes you're given like 1 client that needs extra attention. And then what ends up happening is, like, you do everything, right? Like, so, okay, you wake them up, you get them dressed, you make their bed, you give them a shower, like, right, shower and then dress. You brush their teeth, you make them breakfast, you get them ready for the day. Maybe they don't have any activities going on, right? Maybe they're like housebound, so I don't know, you move them into the common area and you turn on the TV. And then you clean up all around the house, right? And then you make them lunch. You feed them lunch. You clean them up after lunch. Do you see why I don't really like this job? It's a lot. And like, I don't even do this I don't even help my family. Like, I don't even make lunch for my family, let alone like make lunch for clients. I know that's like so mean, but that's the truth of the matter. Like, I am not domestic, and there's certain like protocols that you do have to follow as a CNA. Like, if you're working at a rehab center or long-term care, like if you're working in acute, it might not be so like draining and like boring, because acute, you know, you probably, it's just like, okay, get them up, get them dressed, and then they're out of here, like, but long-term rehab, and that's where the lockdowns are happening. It's a lot of like blah 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 like stuff, and then you have to follow a protocol, like, you know, the wash, you know, like they have a laundry list, literally a laundry list of like what needs to go in the laundry at what times, like, you know, so I don't know, all the women's sheets go in on Mondays, all the men's sheets go in on Tuesdays. Sometimes they'll break it down by client, like 5 clients wash their clothes on Wednesday, 5 clients wash their clothes on Thursday, and then you have to like keep up with the schedule. And then they have like, okay, you know, you cook lunch, but then you also have to clean, and they'll be like, okay, clean the floors, clean the windows, clean the sink. I don't know how many times we have to tell these people, like, who cleans the sink? Like, who dries the sink, I should say. Like, that was one of the things, like, dry the sink. Dry the sink. What is that supposed to mean? Like, I never dry my sink, okay? Like I wash it with bleach, okay? But like, I don't dry it. That's weird. That's counterproductive, because what if the faucet leaks? And usually in these rehab places, the faucet does leak. So like, anyway, but like they'll have like a list of all the stuff you have to do, right? In addition to taking care of the client. And God only knows, like, if that client is in diapers, well, then you gotta change the diaper. And Jesus Christ, it is a disaster to change an adult's diaper. Like, I know, like, it sounds gross in and of itself, but like, actually, like, okay, I don't really find that changing a diaper gross. But the thing that is annoying about being a CNA is when you change the adult's diaper, you have to change it in a specific way, because you can't change it, like, you can't lift their legs up like a kid, you know, and it's just not it's not easy, and it's just really frustrating, honestly. And then, you know, sometimes, like, I remember we used to brush the client's teeth in the shower, and that was, like, easy because, like, you know, it was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But sometimes you'd have a client that'd be like, I don't want my teeth brushed, and then they'd start spitting at you, and, it's very, it's very, like, I don't know. It's rough. It's really rough. Like, clients don't like you. Clients usually don't, like they love you, but they don't respect you. Because, like, you're always there and you're always helping them, but sometimes they don't want to be helped. And I don't blame the client for this. Like, you know, oh, I was because most of these people were successful individuals. That's why they're living in a long-term care facility, because, like, they could afford it. So, like, oh, I'm a successful individual. Like, I don't want nobody helping me take a shower and get dressed. Like, get out of here, you know? But, like, so I don't blame the client for feeling that way, but, like, it's very taxing, and it's very draining, and you don't get, like, that fulfillment as you do as a music therapist. Like, when and that's, like, what I'm gonna talk about, you know? If you're a music therapist and you're doing a lock-in situation, like, you're only going to be doing music therapy for like 1 to 2 hours, if that, and then, you know, you're going to have to help as a CNA. And you, like, I noticed, because I used to be a CNA just to get some extra money to pay off my student loan, and I noticed that, like, the clients, they would be so mean to me, like, in the house, and then they go to session and they'd be like, oh, hi, how are you? Like, and a lot of times I didn't realize that it was me, because, like, oh, she only works at this facility, like, she only works in this building, she doesn't work at my building, you know, like, that's what the association is. Like, I remember one of my clients, she was, like, my favorite client, she was really fun to work with. I worked in her house one time, and I had to wake her up, and she, like, threw stuff at me, right? And then I saw her in the like, session, and she's like, oh, wait, were you in my room last night? And I'm like, yeah, you threw stuff at me. And she's like, oh yeah, I do that to I do that to the CNAs. I do it all the time. And I'm just like, why? But I don't know. That's what they do. And it sucks. It really sucks. And that's what you guys are probably going to have to do. Now, a lot of people like being CNAs, though. Like, I will be honest. Like, I knew a lot of people who, like, actually wanted to be CNAs. I don't know why you would ever want to do such a job. But a lot of people wanted to do it. And I will say, like, it is, like, if you don't have a college degree or if you don't have a bachelor's degree, being a CNA is really good because they do pay more than another position, but it sucks. Like, it sucks. I don't know what to tell you. It's horrible. I think it's like the worst, most draining job on the face of the earth, and then you come out of there and you've only made like $100. Because like you get paid like 10 to 12 an hour. 12 if you're, well, I was working in the state of Pennsylvania, so you yeah, so it was 10 to 12 an hour, and 12 was like if you had experience as a CNA, you know, 10 was the starting salary. I don't know, so I think it sucks, and that's something that to take into consideration, because if you're working, you probably will have to do those jobs, and lo and behold, they're not going to pay you music therapy salary to wash no client. They're going to pay you CNA salary. But the worst job, and I don't think any of you music therapists are going to get thrown in there, but if you're in school, it might be a good thing to do, or you might hear, like, I know a lot of people in school, like, wanted to be CNAs, you know, to get some money and get experience in the field. And then this is also falls into this category, being a scribe. Again, yet again, another job I hated. Now, with a CNA, it's direct care, right? So, so you're with the client or the clients, like, the whole shift. Whereas a scribe, you follow the physician around, and then you like document. So it's kind of more admin. Like, yes, you're with clients, but you're not talking to clients. You're just documenting. So it's more documentation, more admin. I thought I was gonna like it because I hate direct care. I don't like being around people 24/7. I'm an introvert, so I thought that, like, oh, being a scribe might be better because, like, yeah, you're still doing 8, 10, 12-hour shifts, but, like, you're not talking to anybody, you're just documenting. And I could type really fast. And, but the thing that, well, I guess number one thing I hated about being a scribe was the money. Because, like, it really depends on what state you're in. So, like, if you're in a state where the minimum wage is really low, you're going to get paid really low. And your shifts are gonna be like all over the place, like, you know, because you are gonna have to, in both of these jobs, you're gonna have to do overnights, especially if you're just starting out. Jesus Christ, if you're doing the lock-in, they're definitely gonna make you do overnight because you're there. Like, anyway, but yeah, but being a scribe was worse than being a CNA, and honestly, the reason was because of money. Like, a CNA makes more per hour, even though they don't make that much, they do tend to make more than a scribe would. Another reason why I hated being a scribe is because you get crap from the doctor or the physician's assistant or the resident. Like, educated people treat you like garbage, and that's, like, unacceptable in my opinion. Like, you're a doctor, don't you dare talk to me that way, you know better. Whereas, like, I just discussed a CNA, how, like, the patients throw things at you and it sucks, but what would you rather? Like, a doctor who's, like, went to, like, Ivy League med school talk to you like trash, or a client who doesn't know any better, who's, like, having, you know, mental disorders, like, you know, talk to you like trash. Obviously, I'd rather the client because they don't know any better. They can't control it. You know, like, I mean, it sucks either way, but the client can't control it. They don't know any better. The doctor knows better, and I didn't do well as a scribe because, like, as a CNA, I didn't say anything. Like, when, you know, the client threw things at me, I didn't yell at them, I didn't scold them because, like I said, they don't know any better. But when the doctor scolded me or yelled at me, I talked back. And I think that tends to happen when you're working in healthcare. You start to gain more patience and you let a lot of things slide with clients, but then when, like, regular people do things to you, you don't let them slide. um, but yeah, but being a scribe, like, I don't necessarily know if a music therapist is gonna be thrown into that type of situation. If you're doing a lock-in, you're probably gonna get thrown into the CNA position more. But just in case you get thrown into a scribe position, it sucks. And I recommend just talking back. Put the people in their place. I don't really care what letters you have after your name. You don't talk to me like that. Like them, yes, the way it is. And they can't necessarily, like, they can't necessarily fire you for talking back to them as a scribe because they are in the wrong. But they are in charge of your grade per se. Again, why I'm getting a grade at work is beyond me, but when you're a scribe, the doctor does kind of grade you, like, oh, you got a B, like, you know, for work today. Well, that's not going on my transcript. That's not affecting my GPA, so I don't really care, you know. I remember one time I think I talked back to a doctor a few times throughout the shift. 3, okay, because I usually cap things at 3. So I talked back 3 times throughout the shift, and he gave me like a C. And he's like, you got a C for today. And I was like, okay. Because, like, you know, it didn't affect my grade, it doesn't affect the scholarship. Why are you even grading me in the first place? And he's like, you know, a C in medical school is unacceptable. Like, if you get a C in a course, you're not getting into med school. And I'm like, oh, good to know, thank you. Like, this grade isn't going to get me into med school. Like, this has nothing to do with med school. Like, shut up. Like, I think you need to get punched. I think that's what you need. But then I'd really get in trouble, and I'm not really that strong, so I'd probably end up embarrassing myself. But anyway, so yeah, so I wanted to spend most of my time talking about what it's like to be a CNA and how much it sucks, but it doesn't suck as much as being a scribe. So if you get thrown into the CNA role during this pandemic, it stinks, but just know that it could always be worse. And then, yes, of course, the grass is always greener on the other side. Billing and coding is probably the best job that you could possibly be doing in this crisis that's necessary. With little education, I mean, like, you know, CNA, scribe, medical billing and coding, you really don't need that much education to do these things. It's not really that hard to learn. But there you go. Those are some 3 jobs that are necessary and essential that you possibly might get thrown into, and how to handle yourself in those situations. Okay, I hope that helps everybody, and I hope you have a good day. Bye!